every morning with drive. Being on the grind, know I had to survive. We had to win. Started from the dirt and the rubble. I had to be the needle that was popping your bubble.
Hello and welcome into the Rookie Prospect Profile Series. This is a Zilla Fantasy Elite production. Today we're going to be looking at wide receiver Devaughn Vele within the rookie wide receiver machine learning models. Can he go from a late round draft pick into fantasy stardom? Our advanced algorithms have the insights. Stay tuned to find out the results. Devaughn Vele was drafted pick number 235 overall within the 7th round by the Denver Broncos. Played college football for the Utah Utes. Comes in at 6'4", 203 pounds, 36-inch vertical, 33-inch arm length, 4.47 in the 40-yard dash. Hand size, though, at 9, a little bit below average for wide receivers. At a 21.3% college target share and 18% college dominator rating. How's he going to look in the models? Let's go look at year 1 and see what we find. And perhaps a little bit surprising here, we see Devaughn Vele in year 1, ranked 19 in his mean and median at 4.62 and 4.60. Maximum output, though, at 7.79. Kind of has one of those profiles of the high floor, low ceiling variety, which is usually somebody that you're interested in avoiding. If you're going to pick a late round draft pick, you want the low floor, high ceiling type that can break out. It doesn't look like he will do this, but yeah, he's inside the top half of the class here in terms of the ranking for the mean and median. So let's go look at those historical comps. Which wide receivers in the rookie year were hanging around that 4.5 to 5 fantasy points per game range. All of these wide receivers were between 4.3 and 4.8 fantasy points per game during their rookie season. We have Riley Ridley, Josh Dotson, Parker Washington, Keyshawn Johnson, Marvin Mims, Trey Tucker, Gotti Miller, Rashad Green, Justin Hardy, Tanner McAvoy, DeAnthony Thomas, Darius Johnson, Albert Wilson, Kelvin Harmon, Jalen Strong, and Chris Conley. A lot of people in between 4.3 to 4.8 during their rookie season. None of them all that particularly interesting in terms of wanting them on your roster. Let's go look at that maximum. We did see that's one of the worst ones in the class, 7.79, 32nd ranked one. All of these players are in between 7.5 to 8 fantasy points per game during their rookie season. We have Trey Quinn, Michael Pittman, Demario Douglas, Traquan Smith, Rondale Moore, Tyler Boyd, Romeo Doubs, Kenny Stills, Dorial Green-Beckham, Jalen Reagor, Dontavian Wicks, Malcolm Mitchell, DeMarcus Ayers, and Anthony Miller. So we got some interesting names in there, some people with promise or that went on to do some pretty good things. Tyler Boyd, Michael Pittman, and then a couple of rookies last year, Dontavian Wicks and Demario Douglas, who seemed to be halfway decent. So we'll see where their careers go, but that's his ceiling output. Let's go look at his year number 2, and what do we see? Unfortunately, he takes a little bit of a step backwards in terms of his mean and median outcome, 4.15 and 4.3 respectively, 31 and 30th ranked mean and median, which are the worst ones across the board, is minimum at 28th ranked and maximum at 24th ranked, a little bit better. So unfortunately, we see that step back. Let's go look at historical context, the last 11 draft classes, who was hanging out around the 4 to 4.5 range. We have an awful lot of wide receivers that were doing that, probably about 20 or so. So we're going to just go in between about 4.1 to 4.5 here, which is still quite the extensive list. Actually, let's just go up to 4.4. So we have at 4.1 all the way up to 4.4 during their second season. Here are the names: Chad Williams, Braxton Miller, Trent Taylor, Trey Quinn, we see him again, KJ Hamler, Demarcus Robinson, Damian Ratley, Taylor Gabriel, Antonio Callaway, Andy Isabella, Tyler Johnson, Ryan Switzer, Miles Boykin, Olabisi Johnson, Ryan Grant, Bryce Butler, DeAnthony Thomas. A list of players that you're not going to want on your fantasy squad. So looking more and more like Devaughn Vele, probably somebody you can leave off your rosters. The maximum output, if everything goes in his direction, 11.15. Who's in that particular range? These particular players in between 10.8 and 11.4. Dante Moncrief, Dede Westbrook, Drake London, Rondale Moore, Mike Williams, Chase Claypool, Christian Watson, Will Fuller, and Chris Godwin. Some pretty good names in there. Some that ended up not being particularly great outside of maybe that particular season. Are we going to see a little bit of improvement going into year 3? And unfortunately, it takes almost a full or over a full point per game step backwards. And again, more of the high floor, low ceiling type 29th ranked minimum, 41st ranked maximum, which is the worst in the entire class that we're looking at, including the undrafted free agent. So he's got the worst year 3 maximum. Let's go look at these numbers. Who's hovering around 3 out of the last 11 draft classes for fantasy points per game? These players are all in between 2.8 and 3.22. Jeff Janis, Marlon Brown, Equinemius St. Brown, Freddie Swain, Kason Williams, Jerron Brown, Chris Moore, Philip Dorsett, Kaderil Hodge, and Auden Tate. Again, these medium outputs for him are a lot of people that you're not going to want on your roster. Even the 7 fantasy points per game, if he hits a ceiling, if everything breaks his way, you're not getting that great of a output here. Anthony Miller at 6.79. Chase Claypool hit 7 in his 3rd season. Tutu Atwell last year in his 3rd season hit 7.03. Chester Rogers 7.1. Van Jefferson 7.17. So not a ton of high quality players there either. And that's if he hits his maximum output. Unfortunately for him, looking like a pretty dead profile here. Getting into year 4, we see mean and median hovering around 4 here. It gets back up into a little bit better ranking, 29th and 28th for the mean and median. But again, we see the high floor, low ceiling, 19th ranked minimum, 39th ranked maximum. Just doesn't look like a player that you're going to get any sort of league winning upside on. CV at 29.9%, well within that 30% threshold that we would like to see for any data set, especially these fantasy predictions here. So it's fairly confident in these results for Devaughn Vele. Historical context: what wide receivers were hitting these particular ranges during their 4th season? These wide receivers were between 3.7 and 4.4 fantasy points per game. We have Khalif Raymond, Ashton Dulin, Quez Watkins, Bryce Butler, Ray McLeod, James Washington, and Jakeem Grant. Again, all of these median outcomes for him pretty disappointing. Getting into the 7.95 maximum output, we have another list of players that's not particularly great. From 7.9 to 8.4, we have Ryan Grant, Hunter Renfrow, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Traquan Smith, Cam Meredith, and Terrence Williams. Again, not particularly great. If he hits a ceiling even, some pretty disappointing numbers there. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode on the rookie prospect profile for Devaughn Vele. This is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.